So team, keep it clean. It feel like I ain't talked to y'all all year, man. And it just feel like it's been forever, but good to see you. Hope you're doing really, really good. Nothing crazy going on with our Baltimore Ravens right now. Really slow day at the office. We got some injury updates to talk about, but this video is just going to be majority of you guys' questions. So let's get into it. Before we do, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let's get to whatever that next milestone might be. I appreciate y'all. Also turn on your notifications and leave a like on the video because it helps out the channel a ton. Let's get into it. First, not first question, but first update. Justice Hill, he still has not practiced. Today is Wednesday, so he could come back Thursday and be like, okay, yeah, let's go. And Harbaugh did say, like, with Justice Hill, he actually said it's not the concussion that's keeping him away. He said it's the illness, and he said he should be back. He said he could even play this week, but he ain't been practicing yet, so we'll see. So right now, Justice Hill's status seems to be a bit up in the air, but we ain't tripping. We ain't tripping, and we shouldn't trip. We should be A-okay. Whether Justice Hill plays or not, but where I would be concerned, but I don't even think we even have to think about this yet, but I would only be concerned if this was happening and it was playoff time. Then I'd be like, hold up, like Justice Hill, like he does a lot for the Baltimore Ravens, but the fact that it's not his last season regular game, I ain't worried about it, and I don't think you should be either. Pat McCarry, he was out with an illness too. And I know there's been a lot of illness going on right now with the Baltimore Ravens, especially amongst the offensive line. Maybe they were like passing around a little cold or something like that, because I know Ronnie Stanley, he had missed practice a couple days ago too. And Harbaugh was like, no, Ronnie Stanley, he'll be back. Him, McCarry are out with an illness and whatnot. So maybe it was something going on our offensive line with the big boys, since they're around the same place in the locker room and whatnot. They practice together. They're all right next to each other. So maybe that's what the deal was with that. But while Pat McCarry was out with the illness, Ronnie Stanley, he was back. He was limited, but he was back. So maybe whatever they're dealing with kind of beat them up a little bit. But we'll see. Nnamdi Madubuike, he also had an illness. So maybe when they were going against each other, they were doing some trench drills or something like that, offensive line versus defensive line. Maybe they were just passing around that sickness. So it got to him too, but he was practicing today as well. And he was limited too. They need to everybody just take some NyQuil tonight. Take some NyQuil, get some good rest, be back at it tomorrow, and be full go. Jalen Armour-Davis, he was limited too. Jalen Armour-Davis has been crazy, man. He is a crazy, crazy story for the Baltimore Ravens, man. They drafted him. He played a tiny bit, then he got hurt. Then he's been hurt a lot throughout his whole career. We have never, and I fear we will never fully experience the Jalen Armour-Davis experience. I feel like we will never get to see who he could have possibly been for the Baltimore Ravens. It hasn't worked out, and it's been crazy. They keep keeping him around. They keep keeping him around because they really must like something about Jalen Armour-Davis. But there's been so many unfortunate injuries, and you feel for him, man. That's why I was surprised this past offseason that he made the team, because I really thought that he was going to be gone. I thought him and Pepe was going to be gone. They cut Pepe, but they kept Jalen Armour-Davis around. But anyway, he was limited today, but in full. Who practiced in full? Rasheen Ali, so that's good. He's been really banged up this whole year too. In the offseason, during the season, he's been really banged up. Nelson Aguilar, he practiced in full, so he is really, really back from that concussion, which is great for him. Glad he's cleared and officially good to go. And then Charlie Kolar, he is practicing in full too. That's a tough dude right there. Like, Charlie Kolar, he's real deal. I saw somebody in the first video when John Harbaugh talked about he was back. And when we spoke about it in the video, somebody was like, but I thought that he broke his arm. I said, well, yeah, he did, but this Charlie Kolar we talking about, this ain't just your average bear. He's one of them guys, man, and he is tough, man. That dude's a beast. So shout out to him getting ready to make his regular season return, or if they end up holding him off for the first game of the playoffs, whatever it may be. We glad that Charlie Kolar is back in the building. We're glad that we're getting a lot of guys back. Because, again, it helps. It makes the roster stronger. It makes the depth that much better. And it makes this Baltimore Ravens team that much better as well. So now we reach my favorite part of these videos where we get to feature your questions. If you would like to take part in it, you can send an email to teamkeepitclean@gmail.com, or for the Team Keep It Clean patrons, you can send a DM directly on Patreon. And if you would like to join them, you can go to patreon.com/Ingravenvids. Or if you would like to send it in an even more unique way, you can send it directly to our P.O. Box. The address is down below in the description. Got to give a special shout out to Kenneth T. KT, that boy said, he became a Team Keep It Clean patron like he will know what I'm saying, but I appreciate you. Like, that's you, like, real deal for that, man. I appreciate it a lot. And he also sent a message to get us kicked off. He said, "What's happening, my brother? What's up, Kenny?" He said, "I hope you and the family are doing well. I've been watching the Team Keep It Clean channel since 2016. Wow, that's a long time. Man, it's been that long. It's a long time, my friend. Ooh. He said the year after the Ravens had that abysmal season loaded with injuries. Oh, yeah, I remember. That's when Joe Flacco, he got hurt. He had finished that game against the Rams with a torn ACL, I think. In that same Rams game, Justin Forsett, Aaron Donald broke his arm. It was ugly that year. And we were holding on. But then, of course, obviously, when Joe Flacco went, that was, yeah. So, yeah, that was ugly. But I appreciate you, man. He said, but anyway, I thoroughly enjoy every video and always look forward to the notification for a new video. Every time it comes on, I say to myself, oh, boy, what's happening now? That's them Ravens. What's happening with these Ravens now? But I appreciate that, man. He said, keep doing what you're doing, bro. And glad to see that God taking this channel to extremely new heights. Oh, yeah, for sure, man. Appreciate that. He said, but I come with several questions, actually. Hopefully, I'm not out of line for having more than one question, but here goes. Number one, with the Ravens going into the playoffs and it being said that the Ravens have already played and beat all the teams but the Steelers once and the fluke loss to the refs, Chiefs, can you see this being a revenge tour for the Ravens? It can be, and I've seen a lot of people have brought that up. Avenging the Chargers loss from 2000 after the 2018 season, avenging the Bills loss from the 2020 season, then avenging the Chiefs loss from last season. And really, either way that it goes, the Ravens just got to take care of business, man. It could, and with those seasons, you can sort of avenge the loss, but at the same time, you really can't, because it's done. Those seasons are done. They're completely new teams, but I mean, beating them, it would be nice, especially the Bills this year. That would be a sweet song, baby. But anyway, he also said, number two, again, with the Ravens being in the playoffs, the likelihood of them all being home games are very, very slim, which means the past wild card round, we are considered road teams. Or that past the wild card round, we consider road teams. That's correct. The chances are very, very slim. Only way that the Ravens would get all the home games at the crib would be if that 7th seed, whoever that ends up being, it seems like the NFL wants the Bengals, they're the Broncos. All Broncos got to do is beat the Chiefs backups. I know that's easier said than done, but still. So if the Broncos beat the Chiefs, then it's the Broncos. And really wouldn't have had much confidence in them to do that. But that would be the only way if that 7th seed knocks off the 2 seed, which would be the Bills. And that 7th seed the following week knocks off the 1 seed, which would be the Chiefs. So, and the Ravens would obviously have to keep winning too. But that would be the only way that they will be able to get all home playoff games. But anyway, continuing, he said, I'm sure a lot of people are going to look at us like underdogs because of Lamar's status in the playoffs, although I know we will make it and win the Super Bowl. How do you see Todd Monken setting his game plan considering what happened last season? I think that the Baltimore Ravens, with Todd Monken in the offense specifically, I think they're really getting it right now. Even though they've been really getting it all these past couple seasons when we've been making the playoffs, and the running game has been doing this thing, but then in the playoffs they're like, poof, let it be gone. But with Derrick Henry now, like, you have a player that is a Hall of Famer. You have a player that's healthy. That's one of them guys that's like that has a lot of experience, that has played in literally every single type of AFC game that there is to play in. Because he played in, obviously, the wild card, divisional, AFC championship. He just hasn't played in the Super Bowl. Not yet, at least. But you cannot forget about him. You can't. You're not allowed to. It can't go down. Lamar Jackson, him playing his best football of his career, you can't forget about it. So it's important to keep those things in mind. But just go with what's working, man. Go with what's working, and hopefully the Baltimore Ravens, they can be the one to establish what goes down, and they can be the one to dictate the flow of the games. He also said, and last, I'm not sure if anyone else has paid attention to this, but when Roquan was hurt and out for the Chargers game, Kyle Hamilton, or Super Duper Kyle, as you love to call him, had the green dot. It was then said by Rowe that he loves having K. Ham in the secondary in his natural position because it makes it so much easier on him because he doesn't have to rely the defense to the secondary, and that he could focus on what's in front of him. Plus, since moving Kyle to safety, the defense has been extremely better. It certainly has been. And that's Roquan Smith basically saying, like, hey, Marcus Williams, he ain't know what was going on. Eddie Jackson, he ain't know what was going on. I had to communicate with everybody in front of me, But then I had to tell them boys behind me too, like, hey, well, this was going down, this what we doing, and it was just sloppy. But since Kyle Hamilton's been back there, it's a smooth process. And again, that's why we call him Super Duper Kyle, because he's just super. He's outstanding. He said, my question is, with Roquan's physicality and Kyle's versatility and hard-hitting killer instincts, do you see them being the modern-day Ray Lewis and Ed Reed? No, I don't. Not at all. I don't. Because with Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, they would just, I see what you're saying, but Roquan Smith and Kyle Hamilton, they play a lot different, in my opinion, than a Ray Lewis and an Ed Reed. Kyle Hamilton is amazing, but he is not the ball hawk that Ed Reed, well, I mean, nobody is. Like, nobody. Because that Ed Reed is he's just like that. Even though Kyle can do his thing now, especially with him being back there, the traditional safety a lot more now. Kyle Hamilton is fire. But Ed Reed, no. Kyle Hamilton is just Kyle Hamilton, no. Then that's who he is. With Roquan Smith, I see the comparisons, but for me, I in my opinion, I think Ray Lewis, and I know Roquan Smith be leading the league in tackles every year, be getting a bunch of that, but I feel like Ray Lewis was a better playmaker than a Roquan Smith was. And I know a lot of comparisons come from Roquan's giving the pregame speeches and whatnot, and him being an inside linebacker, and him playing for the Baltimore Ravens, so the comparison's going to come. So I get that, but and Ray Lewis was more sideline to sideline. He was better sideline to sideline too, in my opinion. He was a better playmaker and better sideline to sideline than Roquan Smith is. Roquan Smith ain't bad, but Ray Lewis was just that's Ray Lewis, baby. Anyway, he said, I know Ray and Ed, I should have kept reading. He said, I know Ray and Ed are on a level of their own, both being Hall of Famers, but if Kyle were to become a ball hawking, see, I should have just and that's exactly what I'm saying. See? I love it, man. But he said, but if Kyle were to become a ball hawking safety, I can see them being just that, a modern day Ray and Ed. Sorry for this being so long, but I had to make my first question a good one. Hey, no, it's all good, man. No apologies necessary. He said, I pray that you and the family have a blessed New Year's and like all of the teams that we face in the playoffs before we hoist that Lombardi. I'm out. I love it. Next question came from another Team KeepItClean Patron, my guy Hoodie Megatron. He said, how you doing, Ingraven? Hey, I'm good. He said, it's Johnny No Bravo. Oh, I like that. Shout out to Johnny Bravo, man. He said, just wondering, what do you think the attitude is going into this game? I have my work friends asking me, what is Lamar going to do in the playoffs this year? That's a real question, man. I respect them for asking you that. So don't jack nobody up on your shift. Anyway, he said, I always say I don't know because I myself don't know what to expect. I took a peek at the wild card round, and I would like to think that the Chargers would be a pretty easy win, but I'm sure it's going to be a dogfight. Everyone likes to hang on to the fact that Lamar is 2-4 in the playoffs, but I'm going to be optimistic about this one and hope that I see a version of the 2012 team in the 2024 team. What are your thoughts on this? Yeah, I could see that, but just with a better offense. Better offense and even could be a better defense. Because remember, Ravens defense that year, they were middle of the pack. And they were pretty much middle of the pack all year. With Ravens defense this year, first 10 weeks, they were bottom of the pack. They were even outside the pack. They shouldn't have even been ranked. They were past 30. They were like the 34th or 35th ranked defense overall. That's how bad it was early on. But ever since they made those changes, they've been amazing. But when you talk about Lamar Jackson specifically, just play your game, man. That's all you got to do. Play your game. Do what you've been doing. That's it. Just do what you've been doing. Don't worry about none of that other stuff. And hey, like somebody said too. Somebody brought it up. I wish I remember who brought it up. Ever since his mom done cuss him out, like Lamar been on an extra tear. He was already on a tear this season, but ever since his mom cussed him out, he has not lost a game, and he's been just killing it that much more. So expect a lot of the same. Next question came from Mr. Man. He said, Ingraven, this is my first question, so I want it to be a juicy one. Do you think Lamar could become the first QB to reach 10,000 rushing yards? Yeah, because what are you at, like over 6,000 now? So that just be another 4,000. I mean, we saying it like 4,000 is like, oh yeah, just another 4,000. That's it. But for a quarterback to do that, that's crazy. So I could see him doing that. And he could do that he could technically do it in the next 4 years, but Lamar has been slowing down on the running a little bit. Not that, a little bit, though. So I say like the next 5-6 years, then I think he could do that for sure. He said he's already over halfway there, and it's not like he couldn't put himself on pace to do it. Let's use the big man in the back, for example. By year 6, Derrick Henry has 6.7 thousand rushing yards. By year 7, Lamar has 6.1 rushing yards. If Lamar were to average 800 rushing yards for the next 5 years, he could see, boom, there you go. He said it too. Or if you want to go the longevity route, then he could average 500 for 8 years and also get it. Some people forget, but out of Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Joe Burrow, Lamar is the youngest out of all of them. Oh, Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, and this was a fire first question. I appreciate you sending it in there. I didn't even realize that a lot, like you mentioned, you said like a lot of people forget. I certainly forgot, so thank you for the reminder. Next question came from my guy Riley. We getting some newer people up here. I love this. But anyway, he said, "Hey, Ingraven, hope all is well with you and you are enjoying hitting 80K." I'm enjoying it, but I hope y'all are enjoying it too, because it ain't me. It's y'all, so I appreciate y'all, man. He said the quality and quantity of your videos is unmatched, and you are bound for 100K in the near future. That would be great. I appreciate that a lot, man. Thank you, Riley. He said, first question. Since the Ravens are getting the 32nd pick in the draft this year, I love that. Oh, I love how Riley talking. Anyway, he said, since the Ravens are getting the 32nd pick in the draft this year, what direction would you like them to go? I remember a while back, all of us Ravens fans would talk about the changing in culture, but could you imagine Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson behind that 2019 offensive line? I know a lot of people want T or a true big body wide receiver, but could you imagine how much better our current receiver group would be if Lamar had a more comfortable pocket and even more dangerous run game? I can't help but imagine the possibility of investing in an elite trench. Now hold up. Well, what you said, you talk about a T. Higgins, you talked about a big body receiver. Just because you don't go that route in the draft doesn't mean that those things can't happen too. Like T. Higgins, I know Ravens ain't gonna pay him. That'd be nice. I wouldn't be mad at it. I would just be a little concerned with the injuries though. But T. Higgins, oh my goodness, that would be a great compliment to Rashad Bateman and Zay Flower. Oh my god, because that would be that would be nice. But offensive line got to get upgraded for sure. It got to get upgraded. It has to be better than this. Ronnie Stanley, he'll be a free agent. I think Ravens gonna probably re-sign him though. But we'll see. You won't know till we know. Ben Cleveland, he'll be a free agent. Falele will be in year 3 or 4, I forget what year he'll be in next year. Who else? Roger Rosengarten, he'll still be the right tackle, or he could move to left tackle if Ronnie Stanley leaves. Then you could have a void at right tackle. So it's a lot of question marks. Or if Ronnie Stanley leaves and they keep Roger Rosengarten at right tackle, then you got to void at left tackle. So offensive line got some questions. Basically, they got some questions. With Pat McCarry, we'll still have it. But so, yeah, I got no problem investing in the offensive line because it's needed big time. He said the second question, with Lamar winning the Super Bowl this year, where would you rank him among all-time quarterbacks? Ooh, I don't know. I really don't know. But definitely very, very high because Lamar would be a Super Bowl champion, possible Super Bowl MVP, most likely. He would be a 2-time, possible 3-time MVP, even though they've been pushing this Josh Allen stuff. What's crazy about the whole MVP thing, too, is like every time, especially over the past couple of weeks, Lamar has a really, really good game, some story comes out about Josh Allen. Coincidence? I don't know. It's like they've been holding him. Because first, was it the Lamar game against the Steelers? I think that was the one. Lamar beats the Steelers, finally. And Josh Allen's been playing with a broken hand this whole season, and he didn't tell nobody. And y'all decided to bring it out then. And then Lamar Jackson, I think the game against the Texans. Then there was some story about Josh Allen back in high school, or I forgot what it was, elementary school. I forgot what it was, but I'm like, really? What are y'all doing? But anyway, Lamar could possibly be a 3-time MVP. We'll see. We'll see how it goes down. But he will have done so much, broken so many records, and just done it his way, set a standard at the quarterback position. And whenever you talk about Hall of Famers too, I know you're not talking about that, but you kind of are, because you said, would you rank him all the time? He's definitely going to be Hall of Famer for sure. The Hall of Famers are players that were the best at their positions, or among the best at their positions, for a good number of years. And Lamar has already done that, already been that. So I don't have an exact rank on where I would put him, like, number 1, number 2, number 3. I don't have that, but he will certainly be very, very high up there because of what he's done, how he's done it, and just the effectiveness of him as a player on the entire NFL. He said, appreciate you taking the time to read my questions, and just like the Bills, Chiefs, or whoever steps in Lamar Jackson's way in the playoffs, I'm out. Next question came from Alicia. We getting a lot of new people sending in. Y'all keep doing it. I don't know how we're going to keep up with all these questions, but y'all keep doing it. I appreciate it. Alicia said, what's up, Ingraven? What's up, Alicia? He said, first time sending an email, but I was wondering if you believe once we win the Super Bowl, we can go for the 2-piece next year. Oh, I like that. I love your thinking. Because you're not only thinking about success this year, but you're like, let's do another one. For sure. Because obviously you got to win the first one, take care of that business, but that's the goal, right? It should be the goal, at least. And honestly, if the Baltimore Ravens, they got Lamar Jackson, then that's half the battle right there. But obviously, roster construction is going to be huge. Roster construction is always huge. And the Ravens just got to get it right. They got to get it right. There are going to be some swings and there are going to be some misses. Unfortunately, you ain't going to be able to hit on everybody that you sign, that you draft. That's just part of the game. You hope to, but everything don't always work out, and it is what it is. But Ravens just got to get that roster construction right. He said, is the team looking that good for us to have a playoff season next year? Now that, we won't know until we know. Next question came from my guy, Baltimore Mike 51. He said, hey, Ingraven, prayers to you and the family. Hey, I appreciate you, my friend. He said, I know I'm just a fan, but my question is simple. This time, I promise. How is it that the narrative for Josh Allen is so strong when Lamar could literally have the highest passer rating in the NFL history, along with all the other stats? Now, I could be wrong. I doubt it. But that stat alone literally embodies the QB position. Oof, that boy came with a powerful one today. He said, make it make sense, please. And like the validity of Dan Orlovsky, Stephen A. Smith, Rex Ryan, and the Josh Allen bandwagon, I'm out. And then he said, P.S., you still the GOAT to me. Oh, no, I ain't no GOAT. I'm the donkey. But anyway, I appreciate you, though, Mike. That's powerful right there. That passer rating, because that there's QBR, there's PFF, but with like passer rating, like with the numbers with passer rating, because there's so many different factors that go into the QBR and and that's cool. But with passer rating, like that's just strictly passing. It ain't about no running. It ain't about no rushing yards. It ain't about no rushing touchdown. That's about passing touchdowns, passing interceptions, passing yards, completion percentage. It's all just passing stuff. Now, with being a quarterback, it's more than just about passing, obviously, nowadays, too. But that number is just so powerful. But because obviously you're talking MVP, that's amazing. That's crazy that Lamar is having that. But we know that the wins, they are a factor too. Now, I did see something that's highlighted Lamar Jackson versus playoff teams and Josh Allen versus playoff teams. And Lamar got him on there for sure. But it's the signature wins. I think they NFL's looking at the game. I was just talking to my guy who does Bills. He's a Bills content creator. He was asking me, he's like, who you think gonna get it? Who you think should get it? And I said, I think Lamar should get it. But I know they factor in wins into like the record, and then especially the late game record, or the wins later on in the season, because Lamar head to head, obviously they whooped up on the Bills, but then later on the Bills got the win over the Chiefs, and that's when it was said that Lamar and Josh Allen was neck and neck, but that win over the Chiefs that boosted Josh Allen. Then even in a loss, the loss boosted Josh Allen when he scored 6 touchdowns against the Rams, and that it's like, man, he got a loss, but that still gave him another boost. But then the win over the Lions, that gave him another boost, and then just the continued wins from that point on. Because again, he had that nasty game against the Texans where he went 9 for 30. Don't nobody be talking about that. He had the nasty game against the Ravens where he got benched in the fourth, and they were like, oh, just sit down, Josh. And don't nobody talk about that, but because those happened early on. You look at last season with Lamar Jackson. Last season when he went head to head with those other MVP candidates like a Tyreek Hill. I don't think Tua was an MVP candidate. Maybe he was, but Tyreek Hill, Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy went head to head with those guys toward the very end of the season, and that gave Lamar a big boost because those games happen later on. So I think that's what it has a lot to do with when people are choosing an MVP. Oh man, now when I saw the title of this question in the email, I figured after the last question we just did, what a perfect segue to this. And it came from my guy George. Now my guy, shout out to you, George, because I love how my guy George, he loves to sort of play devil's advocate. So he's like, all right, if a majority of people are thinking A, you know what? Let me show them a different viewpoint with B. And I always appreciate when people do that, just to sort of really make our minds think. But let's see what he had to say. He said, are we moving the goalposts as well? He said, good morning, Ingraven. Good morning, George. He said, I hope you and the family had a great time. I'm hearing a lot of arguments about the MVP voting between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. It seems to be a hot topic. Let's step back in time for a moment. All right, here we go. He said, last year, Allen and Purdy both had better numbers in a majority of categories, but Lamar had the wins and the signature game moments. This year, it seems flipped. So the same arguments I'm hearing for Lamar this year didn't work for Josh Allen or Brock last year. So are we just biased, or are we guilty of moving the goalposts as well? That's a great question. Great question. Josh Allen last year, his numbers, there were a lot of numbers that he did have over Lamar Jackson. Now, when it came to that, one of the big numbers that Josh Allen also had over Lamar Jackson was interceptions. And there were a lot of interceptions. Something that we talked about, remember last year, because we said it a lot on here, that is deeper than just the numbers. And it is. It's deeper than the numbers. And we talked about how we have really appreciated the MVP voting last year because they showed that it's not just all about the numbers, and you just really got to watch the game too and look for that impact that player has, whoever it may be. Last year was obviously Lamar Jackson, and that's what they went with. But now this year, like Lamar Jackson with his numbers, they're crazy. But then let's talk about impact as well. Let's talk about impact. And the Baltimore Ravens, let's talk about the fact that if they don't, I think it's this season where if they haven't scored more than 27 points, I believe, 27, 28 points, then they lose. They lost the games. And that's crazy to think about, right? That's wild. That's a wild stat. If they haven't scored more than 27, 28 points in a game, then they lost. And then you look at and he still got some more that he said, so we're gonna get into that. But you look at the defense this year, early on this year, and that defense that it was, and then you look at Justin Tucker and everything that he wasn't. So it for what Lamar was doing, and the fact that the Ravens were still winning, and they still had a winning record despite that defense. Ooh, that defense, yuck. That defense, gross. And then again, Justin Tucker was missing all them field goals and whatnot. It's just, that's where, the numbers have been, and amidst that, the numbers have still been great, but the impact has been there as well. So now it's been a tale of both. With Josh Allen this year, you mentioned signature wins. That's what we were just talking about before, against the Chiefs, against the Lions. Those were some very, very big time wins because those were the teams at the top. That's the Chiefs' only loss this year so far. They could possibly lose to the Broncos, but they won't even be playing their starters. But that's big right there. Those are some big games. And then Josh Allen, he got, I think his ratio right now for as far as passing touchdowns, it's like 26-8, something like that. Whatever it is, it's nice. But then he got all them rushing touchdowns too. I know a lot of them came from the one and whatnot, but the touchdown is a touchdown. So Josh Allen, he been certainly doing his thing as well. But again, it's the wins. It's the wins. It's the record. The record that just makes such a big difference when it comes to MVP voting. Anyway, he said, going off the arguments, it seems like he said, so are we just biased? He said, are we guilty of moving the goalposts as well? Going off the arguments, it seems Lamar should, and in my opinion, deserve to be the MVP this year. The situation seems awfully similar, though. So maybe, just maybe, Lamar is the one who stole the MVP last year. Thanks for all you do. And the new milestone. Hey, appreciate that, my friend. He said, regardless, every 12 years, we are champs, and I look forward to that continuing. Lamar Jackson, Super Bowl MVP, Ravens 2024-25 Super Bowl champions. Much love to you, George. Appreciate this. Next question came from my guy Amos. He said, hey, Team Keep It Clean and Flock Nation. Just want to say congratulations on 80K. Appreciate that, Amos. Let's keep going up. Once I get things handled, I'm going to become a patron. Hey, look, my friend, no rush and no pressure at all. If you can, great. If you can't, still great. The fact that you here, you be sending in questions, that's good enough. So I appreciate that all in itself, man. So I appreciate you. He said, now let's go win the Super Bowl. Love y'all, Flock Nation and Team Keep It Clean. Ingraven, have a nice day. Hey, Amos, you have an even better one. Next question came from my guy Alex. He said, hey, how's it going, Ingraven? Happy 80K subs to you and your family, man. You deserve it. Thanks for everything you do. You're definitely the GOAT. I think you spelled donkey wrong, but I appreciate you, man. Thank you. He said, my question is, if you had to build a team from scratch and can only say 5 players from the current Ravens, why did he do this? He said other than Lamar Jackson and Kyle Hamilton, just because they might be the 2 obvious first picks. You right, because boy, that's what I was for sure going with from jump, man. He said, who would you choose? Thanks again for everything you do. Hoping for a great 2025. Appreciate that, Alex. If I had to build a team from scratch and could only save 5 current Ravens players minus Super Duper Kyle and LJ, let me go Derrick Henry. Let me go Tyler Linderbaum. Give me Marlon Humphrey. I will also take Travis Jones. And also give me Ardarius Washington. Next question came from Numa. He said, what's up, Ingraven? I originally sent this question to the wrong email. I know, not so Team Keep It Clean to me. Yeah, I saw it and I looked and I said, ooh, but I can't. Yeah, so I appreciate you taking care of that. He said, I got an idea on how Cincinnati making the playoffs could benefit the Ravens. If they squeeze in at the 7th seed, they go to Buffalo, where we've seen Joe Burrow have success in the postseason. That's true. He could go there and knock them off. That's a real possibility. He said, say they win that game, we play the winner of Houston and Pittsburgh, arguably an easier matchup than going into Buffalo. That's true. He said, obviously, we have to play whoever's in front of us, and I feel confident in the Ravens matching up against whoever. I would just love to see Burrow knock those Bills out in the first round. Why not get a little help from our AFC North rivals? Hey, they want to get some help, no problem. Bengals want to help out, no problem. I would have no problem with that at all. Then you want to go knock off the Chiefs? Cool. If you don't want to knock off the Chiefs, don't worry, we'll take care of business ourselves. He said, do you think that Cincy could beat Buffalo on the road? And if so, do you think it could benefit the Ravens? We'd love to hear your thoughts. And much love and congrats on 80K, man. No, I appreciate it, man. They certainly could. They definitely could, because Cincy, they a scary team. That offense is something serious, man. Now, then you think, what if they got matched up with the Baltimore Ravens? They would have to do a lot of knocking teams off to get matched up with the Ravens, and Ravens would obviously have to do the same. But then you think about the 2 games, and yeah, the Ravens won those, but just by the skin of their teeth. But what was the big difference in those games? That's much different from the Ravens right now. It was their defense. The Ravens defense has completely turned it around. They were not the same defense in those 2 games that they are right now. So that would benefit the Ravens heavy. This question came from my guy, Mello. He said, I hate to say that I'm glad to see Cincinnati beat Denver, but that fuels more fire for them to play hard against Pittsburgh in the season finale. With Pitt having a 3-game losing streak, that only helps us solidify their 3rd playoff spot. My question, yeah, that would help out for sure. My question is, would you rather Cincinnati win against Pitt, or Pitt win and we fall in the playoff seed? I think out of all teams, Cincinnati is the biggest threat to the Baltimore Ravens. Okay, so would I rather Cincinnati win and in, or Pitt win and we fall in the playoff seed? Well, the only way that we will fall is if we lost. That's it. And Pittsburgh won. So if Ravens beat the Browns, Ravens are locked in at 3, and that's it. That's it. Pittsburgh, the outcome of that game would not do anything toward the Baltimore Ravens whatsoever. So yeah, we wouldn't even have to worry about that. But would I rather for Ravens? For me, my thing was just getting in. But with them, I want them to have that number 3 seed. I want them to have as many home games as they possibly can. So we'll see how that shakes out. But as far as Cincinnati being the biggest threat to the Baltimore Ravens, they are a threat to the Baltimore Ravens for sure. And I know that the defense is different. But something else too that we didn't talk about in that previous question, with the defense being different, these teams know each other. These teams got quite the history. And I would love if the Ravens, they figured out a way to actually cover Jamar Chase, because that's something that they just they didn't do. They didn't do much of it the last couple times we played. Again, the defense was different. Marcus Williams was out there, Eddie Jackson, yeah, but so things are different now. But yeah, they will certainly pose a big threat. But again, as long as Ravens in and they keep that number 3 seed, I'm good with whatever.